Now from URI TV, this is Inside Rhode Island Basketball with Dan Hurley.
Welcome to the first edition of Inside Rhode Island Basketball with Dan Hurley. Fittingly, Dan Hurley here himself, the head coach at the University of Rhode Island. Over the next 10 weeks, we're going to really dive into your program. What are you most excited about to show the fans of URI?
I just think the improvement right now. You know, we have some exciting young players, you know, that are playing the game with great passion and improving every day. And, you know, we've, you know, right now to have 9 wins, one more than we had all of last year. We're excited about that, and we're excited about the 14 games we have left.
All right, we're going to dive into it all over the next 30 minutes. Over the next 10 weeks, we'll give you an all-access pass into Rhody hoops at the games, during practice, and inside the huddle as Coach Hurley and the Rams try to make a splash in the Atlantic 10. But before we get too far ahead of ourselves, let's recap the season so far. It all started back in November with Coach Hurley and a new-look Rams team hoping to improve on their 8-21 mark from the year before. Rhody opened with a 20-point win over Maine at the Ryan Center with Afinye Onyekaba scoring 21 and 10. But in the first road contest of the year, the Rams struggled at Southern Miss, a sign of things to come away from Kingston in the early portion of the year. The Rams rebounded with easy wins over North Carolina A&T and Metro State before visiting what would soon become the best team in the entire nation, Arizona. Ranked 5th at the time, they handled the Rams with ease, but it was tough road games against good teams that would soon help this young URI team. Back at home, Rhody would rally for 3 wins in a row, with the team finding consistency in both scoring, defense, and toughness. Now at 6-2, the Rams went to play George Mason, a fellow A-10 team, in a non-league game. Despite a furious second-half run, the Patriots held off Rhode Island. The Providence game loomed at the Ryan Center. A sold-out, raucous crowd would cram the gym, with both teams going back and forth in an ugly, low-scoring contest. Tempers would flare when Coach Hurley and PC head coach Ed Cooley started jawing at each other, leading to an exciting final sequence. Down 1 in the final seconds, freshman E.C. Matthews had a shot at the game winner, but it came up short, and PC survived 50-49. After alternating wins and losses, URI remained in state, playing Brown on a snowy night in early January. URI led big at the half and held off the Bears for the 75-66 victory. After notching their first road win, URI kept the momentum going with perhaps Hurley's most impressive victory yet. A road win at LSU, giving Rhode Island 9 wins on the season, already one more than the season prior. But the streak was short-lived with a close loss to a tough A-10 team, St. Louis, and then Saturday's disappointing 69-56 loss to George Washington. So the Rams sit at 9-8 on the season with 14 games remaining in a very challenging A-10 conference. So that is a quick 2-minute bullet point of the season so far. You experienced it. Looking back now, describe the season up to now.
Well, you know, we played a bunch of non-conference games at home, you know, that were scheduled to help a young team build some confidence. And, you know, we did a good job of, I think, beating the, you know, the teams that we should have beaten, you know, especially at home. You know, some of the road tests, obviously, you know, the Arizonas, the SMUs, you know, those are great opportunities for us to really identify what we would need to get better at to compete at the level we want to compete at when we at the conference play. And you know, so we learned some hard lessons. You know, we had some confidence building wins, and then obviously you know, the close losses you got to learn from. When you look at your team in November and look at your team now, where's the team improved the most? So much better defensively. You know, in the last 6-7 games, you know, we're keeping our opponent under 40%. You know, from the field defensively, which is exactly where you want to be, tough and hard-nosed that way. And you know, we've got to continue to do a better job taking care of the basketball. Turnovers have hurt us throughout the season, and you know, we got to do a better job cleaning that up. Now, you don't want anyone to feel sorry for yourselves, but do you sometimes feel like you can't catch a break? You were just telling me off camera, you have guys that have been sick in practice this week. You had a few players leave the program for different reasons. Do you ever kind of feel like the woe is me mentality, or you got to keep charging on? Nah, you charge on. You know, everyone's dealing with something. You know, college basketball, guys are always hurt or sick. You know, our reality is, you know, we've got 9 scholarship players right now that, you know, come in and go to work every day and want to get better and want to be part of the solution of making this a great program, and that's the direction we're headed in. Speaking of making it a great program, already 9 wins on the season, 1 more than last year, so you're trending in the right direction. Got some good recruits coming in. Do you feel like the structure is building up some momentum? Yeah, it's exciting because, the guys that we're seeing perform at a high level right now, they're young. You know, they've got time to play together and develop that chemistry and that camaraderie that you need to be successful. It's very difficult to put new faces on the court and expect it to all blend and come together. We haven't developed a team yet. We're still working on our culture and our identity.
You started 2 freshmen and a sophomore on Saturday, E.C. Matthews, Hassan Martin really stepping up their game. How encouraging is it that they're getting quality minutes right now, so in a couple years they're going to have a ton of experience and their game will only improve? Yeah,
I mean, you wish you could fast forward to what these guys are going to be like when they're juniors and seniors. They'll be amongst the best players in the conference. They're outstanding talents, and the fans are obviously going to get to enjoy 4 years of incredible excitement with these 2 guys.
At the same time, how do you manage a freshman who was just a few months ago in high school, the responsibilities of being a D1 college basketball player? I'm assuming there's going to be some maturity issues at some point. How is it coaching a freshman versus an upperclassman?
I just think, with these guys, in particular EC and Hassan, they came from good quality high school programs, where they played for demanding, head coaches. That obviously, helps a great deal. In an ideal circumstance, you'd want to bring them along slowly. Obviously, with the way things have played out for us in terms of our roster, they've been force-fed roles that, that are going to pay big dividends for us in the future.
And everyone knows you had a storied career as a high school coach. How do you use your experiences at the high school level to benefit your coaching style as a college coach?
I think just, as a high school coach, you can't always, have the exact personnel that you would want. You have to adapt to the different kids that you have enrolling into your program on a year-to-year basis. So I'm not married to a system. I think it makes me somewhat adaptable, and it'll obviously come into play this year.
Now getting into 8-10 conference, a very good conference when you look at it in the scope of the nation. Do you look at the schedule and kind of try to nitpick where you can get some wins? It's daunting. How do you see the league playing out this year?
I think our focus, it's such a great league. It's top heavy with NCAA tournament teams. The middle and bottom of the league are probably as good as it's ever been. For us, we just want to have a consistent approach. We feel like we can get any game on our schedule. Last year, we won at St. Louis. This year, to go out and go on the road and beat an LSU team that probably has 3 NBA first-round picks. We took confidence from that. We know that if we're consistent with our preparation and if we play every game with great intensity, that we'll have a chance to win any game we play in league.
And coming up this week, you have LaSalle and George Mason, a second crack at the Patriots. I'm sure you look back at that game and you want it back. Do you think the outcome will be different versus the Patriots? And talk about the LaSalle matchup as well.
Yeah, you obviously hope so. At George Mason, the game was on the table with a minute to go. It was a one possession game pretty much the entire second half. I think we've improved a great deal since that game. LaSalle's obviously a Sweet 16 team that's really starting to round into form. Losing only one player in Galloway from a team that played deep into the NCAA tournament, that is beginning to hit their stride right now as conference play starts getting tuned up. That's going to be a big challenge for us, but we had a really good day of preparation, and we're excited to get out there.
And that game, of course, is on Wednesday. Well, we're just getting started on Inside Rhode Island Basketball with Dan Hurley. Coming up after the break, we sit down with Rams senior guard Xavier Munford, who why Munford was coach's first phone call when he got the URI job. Stay with us.
Sponsored by Alex and Ani. Positive energy, eco-friendly, made in America with love. Sponsored by South County Hospital Orthopedic Center. For expert care, look no further.
Welcome back inside Rhode Island Basketball with Dan Hurley. I'm Yanni Krakis, joined by Dan Hurley, of course. If there's one player that excites the crowd the most at URI, it's the X-Man, Xavier Munford. The senior leads the team in scoring for a second year in a row and is a team leader for you, Coach. You've known him since the 8th grade. We're going to hear it in the story coming up shortly, but you coached him in high school and now in college. You've probably spent more time with Xavier than your family over recent years.
Yeah, X has been a great kid to coach. Started out even as a senior for our high school team, was the 8th man on our high school team, and but he was always a young man with a lot of potential as a student athlete and a lot of upside. And the 2 years in junior college really helped him mature. And I don't know where we'd be offensively without him in the last couple of years.
And you and he crossed paths just a couple years ago. Here's the story with Xavier Munford. Well before Dan Hurley and Xavier Munford reunited in Kingston, the two met when Munford was just a skinny teenager back in New Jersey. At the time, Hurley was trying to convince Munford to play for St. Benedict's Prep, where Hurley was the head coach.
Came with his mom, Zamora, and Darren to open house where I was the admissions director at St. Benedict's, and convinced them to send him to St. Benedict's, and then 4 years later, had to convince them to send him to Rhode Island.
Coming in, I knew it was a high-level program, so I knew it was going to be tough for me to try to play on the team and stuff like that. But I kept my confidence high. Coach Hurley is a great coach, and then as years progressed, I just became he developed me into a great player.
Along with current teammate Gilvitas Baruta, Munford, Hurley, and the Gray Bees team earned national recognition. After high school, Munford and Hurley went their separate ways. Munford to junior college and Hurley taking over Wagner. But their paths would cross in March of 2012 when Hurley got the URI job.
I seen that he had got the job on the internet, stuff like that. I'm like, oh, that's a good look for him.
Maybe even before I told my wife that I was taking the job, I might have called him and Gil next.
Later that day, he gave me a call. I was excited to talk to him. He told me about that he got a job, what was going to happen, stuff like that in the future. I told my parents, and then later that week, and a couple weeks later, I made the decision.
And X, as his teammates call him, hasn't regretted the decision, leading the team in scoring as both a junior and senior. But as the only senior who gets consistent minutes, there sometimes is a burden on Munford to fill the box score. And early this season, he found himself in a shooting slump.
No, I think he had the weight of the world on his shoulders.
Beginning of the season, I had a slow start this year. I was in a bad shooting slump. But as games progressed, I'm getting better and getting out of the shooting slump. I just got to keep progressing, stay in the gym.
Munford's numbers would soon rebound, and while leading the team on the court, he also has been another coach for the young players on this Rams team.
He gives me a lot of advice, since I'm a freshman. He just shows me the ropes and what to do.
To get guys to lock in the huddle, to get guys off the court, to do the right thing on and off the court.
And all the gaudy stats aside, as for Munford's legacy, he hopes to be a cornerstone to the rise of URI basketball, leaving the program as a winner.
The first year we didn't really win that much, so this year I want to go down in history as a winner, as such guys like Coach Murph or Lamar Odom. I want to be put in that category and just make a great run in conference play.
So, Coach, you just saw the piece. You and Xavier are really close. Are you tougher on him than the other players because you've known him so long?
Yeah, probably tough on everybody. We have a high standard for how we want to work. X has been a pleasure to coach. He's a great young man. He accepts coaching well. He doesn't get defeated by criticism. He tries harder, and he's made some great strides defensively this year. He's helped us rebound the ball better, and we just really want to see him have a great end to his college career and shoot the ball well and be a part of some great wins. He deserves that because he came into the program obviously in the rebuilding stage.
Do you think his game translates to the professional level, maybe overseas?
I think he'll have a great chance. They love scorers and shooters and such overseas, and he'll have a long career over there. And then obviously, beyond that, he's going to get his degree. This year he's done a great job academically, and he'll be a college graduate with 12 years of professional basketball experience in the bank.
And he has 2 more months in his college career. What do you tell a senior like him about how to cherish these moments? Because there aren't many left.
I mean, he's got to take advantage of every practice session. He's got to treat it like gold. Every one of these games, every possession, we play, 10 5-minute wars during the course of the game, up to each TV timeout. And each one of those, he's got to do every single thing he can and not spend any of the years of the rest of his life regretting a second of how he spent his last year of college basketball. And he's also got to set that type of standard for all these younger players around him that obviously have more time.
And we'll hear from Xavier Munford in the mic'd up package. You're a little rough on him. I think he was getting soft that day in practice. Still to come after the break, we strap a mic on to Coach Hurley during practice. Hear what he has to say to get his team ready for conference play. Stay with us. Welcome back inside Rhode Island basketball with head coach Dan Hurley. And coach, whether you like it or not, you agreed to let us mic you up during certain portions of practice. This may be the best part of the show because it brings fans truly inside a URI practice. Take a look.
What type of pace are we cutting at?
Here we go. Let's go, Pete. Go ahead.
Confidence, rhythm, pace. Stop feeling sorry for yourself.
Curls. Come on, big.
Show some mental toughness.
Slow it up. There we go. Slow it up, Pete. Slow it up. Oh, good, man.
Work on your game. Show some mental toughness. Show some resolve. Or we can just keep hitting the front rim. We can shoot it like we want to be a player. We can live on the back rim, or we can slam it off the front rim and give ourselves no chance.
Slow it up, BC. Slow it up. Go, X.
You're not exactly lighting it up right now. Get close. Biggie, you're gone silent.
Go.
Biggie, you've gone radio silent, Biggie.
Go, X.
Biggie, you're still doing it, and I'm telling you not to. X is going through the motions.
Go hard, X. Hey, that was on the line. X, that was
On the line, X is lazy.
That wasn't a real. That was we warned you 8 times.
How many times? But now, who's gonna, Biggie, instead of slamming the ball, who's gonna say something to him? Not everything comes from coaches. There's no collective toughness. He's not a great competitor, so other people have to drag him along.
All right, so holding the players accountable there. At a certain point, the coaches can only say so much, and you rely on some of the players to police themselves.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the issue with coaching a young team that hasn't really played together. It's that collective toughness. It's the leadership. It's their ability, to talk to each other, when things aren't going well, and motivate each other. And you need more of that from your players because on game night, they're out there kind of naked.
And how much do you rely on your assistants in practice? I'm assuming some days do you kind of relay the message, we got to be tough on them today? Or if they've had a couple good days of practice, do you lighten up a little?
Well, that was a day after a loss, and it was an effort that we were less than satisfied with in terms of our aggression, in terms of our ability to fight and compete. And so that wasn't a day of confidence building. That was a day, of letting them know, that we have issues in terms of our competitiveness, in terms of our ability to communicate with each other. Obviously, communication is a huge part of team play, and obviously, me egging on our point guard to be a great communicator, was something that was getting under my skin.
All right. Now we are going to break down a play now. Recent game, you guys won at Brown, had a nice game, especially offensively that night. So if we could bring up this play, you're in the traditional half-court set. E.C. Matthews is bringing the ball up. He has a little screen pass. You call it a dribble drop, is that what you call it, to E.C. Munford curls around, kicks it out, and you get the three-pointer. So we're going to slow it down for everyone and kind of just break it down. Traditional half-court set, what are you guys looking for right here as the play comes up?
We call this pistol, and the Celtics do something along these lines. We set a little screen in with our forward, for Xavier here, and then we would come into an immediate dribble handoff. Then Xavier then has a flare screen on the wing. If his defender goes over the top of it, his read is to cut to the corner. He caught it. The help came. He attacked the middle of the paint and did what we ask all of our players to do when they drive the ball and help comes to them and share the ball with an open teammate. And it's not particularly complex.
Right.
But it gets the ball moving from side to side. It creates a little bit of misdirection. If X's defender went under the screen, his responsibility would have been to stop behind it. But offensive basketball is about just trying to create little advantages for your players. But players are going to win games and make shots.
Now, so much of the college basketball game is the driving kick. So I guess you're drawing the defender only to free up the shooter there. How much has that kind of just dominated college basketball, especially the three-pointer has almost revolutionized the game in the last 20, 30 years?
Yeah, it's a huge part of it. Obviously, you want to have a well-rounded team that could have inside strength and scoring, but you have to have great guards that could get into the paint and put pressure on the defense, especially with the new rules relative to how you can guard the basketball. Right. And then one of the things that we could really improve on in the last 14 games is our ball movement. Our guys making quick decisions in terms of attacking with the dribble, and then when they draw help, sharing the ball quickly and finding open teammates, because we are more offensively talented this year.
All right, one last time out here on the show. After the break, we talked to players about managing the expectations and responsibilities of being a student athlete. Don't go.
Sponsored by Bell-Tone Hearing Aid Centers, helping the world hear better.
Welcome back to our final block inside Rhode Island basketball with Coach Hurley. For a while in December, you guys focused on practice while the guys had exams, and then you were off for winter break. Talk about that period of time when guys are really cramming for exams and throughout the season when they're trying to maintain their averages.
Our guys have a great responsibility. We obviously, they're student athletes first, and it's very important to the culture of our program and to their future that they are successful student athletes. And we've had the best semester that we've had academically as a team, up near 3.0, and we're super excited about that. And it's about coaching and teaching these kids, the things that are going to take them through success in life.
And Xavier Munford is a senior. E.C. Matthews is a freshman. Hear what they had to say about their student athlete experience.
I've kind of grown to it, but at first, when I first came into college, it was tough trying to balance basketball and school with the study halls and stuff like that. Make sure you're on class on time, then make sure you're on practice on time. It was tough, but I adjusted to it now that I'm a senior.
Just always busy, you're never home. Once you leave, you probably come back 9 o'clock, in the afternoon. So, but it's been a smooth transition. I'm not the only one going through it. It's a whole team thing, and we just help each other out and just try to progress academically and on the court.
It's good to hear that from the freshmen. Let's take a look at the upcoming schedule in the Atlantic 10. This Wednesday, the team travels to Philadelphia to take on a very talented LaSalle team, a team that was in the Sweet 16 a year ago. Saturday, back home to avenge that loss to George Mason. Then it's back to Philly, this time taking on St. Joe's. And then next Saturday, you return to Kingston to take on Dayton. So when you look at that upcoming slate, what comes to mind? Cheesesteaks in Philly, probably?
Yeah, that's probably on the back burner a little bit. Listen, it's a great league. It's one of the best basketball conferences in the country. That's shown through in the out-of-conference schedule. It's probably a 5-bid league this year, and the middle to the bottom of the league has improved so much. That's a heck of a tough stretch. But if our focus is there, and we obviously, our margin for error is very thin, but if we're locked in and playing with the type of intensity at both ends that we need to play with, we'll give ourselves a chance every time we step on the court.
All right, Coach Hurley, thanks so much for joining us. That'll do it for the first episode of Inside Rhode Island Basketball. Have a great night, everybody.